He was just doing his job, standing silent, still, strong. But what he heard that day wasn't a tourist joke, wasn't a phone ringing, wasn't a scream. It was the last words of an old man, barely loud enough to carry across the barrier. Greater than, tell them, we still stand. And what the guard did next left the crowd in tears. He wore a faded green coat. Medals lined his chest. His cane tapped slowly on the wet pavement. His name, Arthur Collins. Age, 91. A veteran of the Korean War. And a former King's Foot Guard, 1956. He hadn't been back to Buckingham Palace in 30 years. Today, he came for one reason. Greater than, to see them stand one last time. People moved aside. They saw the medals, the stiffness in his knees. But Arthur didn't ask for space. He asked for silence. He walked right up to the black iron barrier and leaned forward, eyes locked on the guard. It was Corporal Benjamin Ward on post. Young, sharp, unflinching. But as Arthur looked into his face, his own voice trembled. Greater than, you remind me of me. Benjamin never broke formation. He saw Arthur, yes. But his body didn't twitch. Still, his ears caught the whisper. Greater than, tell them, we still stand. Arthur didn't say it to be heard. He said it as a declaration. To the wind, to time, to memory. But Benjamin did hear, and in that instant, he made a choice. The protocol says, no reaction, no deviation, no acknowledgement. But Benjamin blinked slowly, shifted his stance 1 inch, and gave the slightest nod. It wasn't enough to trigger reprimand, but enough to say, greater than, I heard you. And then, he did something bold. As his shift ended, instead of turning to march off, he turned toward Arthur and saluted. Gasps echoed. A few camera phones rose in disbelief. A salute, from a guard to a civilian? But this wasn't just any man. This was Arthur Collins, 91 years old, battle-worn, badge-bearing, and he was saluting back. 2 generations, 2 soldiers, 2 statues brought to life by legacy. Arthur wiped his eyes and whispered, greater than, thank you. I can rest now. And then he turned, slowly, peacefully. He didn't say another word, didn't stay for the changeover, didn't ask for applause. He just walked away. But what no one knew was that Arthur had terminal cancer, and that was his final trip to the palace. Benjamin filed a personal request with his superior that night. He asked if he could attend Arthur's funeral, in uniform, not because it was procedure, because it was right. His request was approved, and 2 weeks later, in a quiet cemetery in Kent, a guard in red stood by a hero's grave. Unmoving, unshaken, honoring one final command. Greater than, tell them we still stand. After the funeral, Benjamin received a handwritten note from Arthur's daughter. Greater than, he watched the guards every day online, even when he could barely sit up. He always said, as long as they still stand, Britain still stands. Greater than, you gave him more peace than morphine ever did. Thank you for not just wearing the uniform, but living the weight of it. That phrase now lives in every step Benjamin takes, every shift, every salute. It became a quiet motto among his unit. We still stand, etched into locker doors, whispered before morning formation, written in chalk on barracks walls. Because service is more than stillness. It's carrying the spirit of those who stood before. Arthur's photo now hangs in the Royal Guard Museum. A small plaque underneath reads, greater than, veteran, father, soldier. He stood for us. We still stand for him. And Benjamin, he still serves, still silent, still strong. But now, when he hears a whisper in the crowd, he listens. A guard is not just a figure in red. He is memory. He is legacy. He is the bridge between past and present. And that day, when a dying man whispered history into the wind, a young guard caught it, carried it, and stood taller because of it.
Honey, did you just
relatively new because people were disrespectful, used to go in, touch the reins, and yeah, the song got the shout because it's disrespectful. So they put this in. Stop people.
Just don't cross this line. There's so many pictures of you.
I don't need a picture. Get up there, Alexa.
Don't cross the line.
That makes it 70 times more important.
This is a very famous resident of the life. Like the King's Mounted Horse. A very special song. The horses are free. Irish blacks, yeah. They are a wonderful breed of horses. Isn't that wonderful? You see a soldier standing there, it's 2 hours, and a horse with a soldier standing there. Please take as many individual photos as you want.
Tamam.
Zahmet kocayı çek.
You're okay there. As long as you don't grab the one.
If this story gave you goosebumps, share it with someone who honors the ones before them. Experience the heart of London. Subscribe to Mitts in London and never miss a story.